Imagine the silence of the Pacific broken only by the hum of nuclear reactors beneath the deck of a 100,000-ton Titan, the USS Gerald R. Ford, the pinnacle of American naval engineering, sits like a floating fortress. But miles away, deep within the Chinese mainland, a signal is sent that could change the face of warfare forever. This isn't just another drill. This is the moment the world has been whispering about. The era of the carrier killer has arrived. For decades, the US Supercarrier has been the ultimate symbol of global power, an untouchable queen on the geopolitical chessboard. But China has spent trillions on a single goal, making these giants obsolete. Welcome to Blue Water Ops, and today we are diving into the terrifying reality of the Pacific Red Line crisis. We're talking about the DF-17 and the DF-21D missiles that don't just fly. They dance through the atmosphere at Mach 10, performing maneuvers that defy traditional physics and make current missile defense systems look like relics of the past. Imagine a weapon that can hit a moving ship from 1,500 miles away with the precision of a surgeon. This is the hypersonic threat, but is the US Navy just sitting ducks? Absolutely not. Behind the scenes, the Pentagon is scrambling to deploy directed energy weapons, high-powered lasers, and AI-driven Aegis systems that can process 1,000 threats in a heartbeat. It's a high-stakes game of cat and mouse where the winner takes the entire Indo-Pacific. The tension is palpable. Every sensor on the Ford is screaming as a swarm of dark drones emerges on the horizon, a classic saturation attack designed to overwhelm even the most advanced radar. This is the nightmare scenario for every admiral in Washington. If a single missile breaks through, the strategic balance of the 21st century shifts in an instant. But why now? Why is Beijing pushing this red line today? It's about the first island chain and a silent underwater war that most people aren't even tracking. As we peel back the layers of this confrontation, you'll realize that the hardware is only half the story. The real battle is being fought in the silicon of microchips and the algorithms of autonomous warfare. Stay with me, because what happens next in the South China Sea will dictate the price of everything in your home and the security of your future. We are looking at a potential flashpoint that makes the Cold War look like a minor disagreement. The Americans are countering with distributed maritime operations, spreading their power across smaller, harder-to-hit vessels. But can they maintain their dominance without the massive shadow of the supercarrier? It's a revolution in naval doctrine. We see the deployment of the SM-6 Block IB, a weapon specifically designed to intercept these hypersonic gliders in their terminal phase. But the math is brutal. In a world of Mach 5 speeds, you have seconds to decide the fate of 5,000 sailors. The margin for error is zero. The Pacific is no longer a vast buffer. It's a crowded, lethal arena where a single miscalculation leads to total escalation. And as the radar screens in the Combat Information Center of the Ford begin to flicker with ghost tracks, the reality of electronic warfare hits home because China isn't just firing missiles. They are firing photons and frequencies designed to blind the most sophisticated eyes of the US Navy. This is the silent strike where the battle is won or lost before a single kinetic shot is fired. Think about the complexity of a carrier's strike group, the destroyers, the cruisers, and the silent submarines beneath, all linked by a digital web that is now under a massive cyber siege. The Chinese Strategic Support Force is working in the shadows, trying to sever the satellite links that guide the American Tomahawks. If the link breaks, the Ford becomes a blind giant in a room full of snipers. But the Americans have a wild card. Deep in the belly of the fleet, autonomous underwater vehicles, UAVs, are being launched to create a sensor mesh that doesn't rely on satellites. This is the Ghost Fleet in action. While the world watches the sky for hypersonic gliders, the real game-changer might be the silent titanium tubes moving through the deep trenches of the Philippine Sea. We are talking about the Virginia-class submarines, the apex predators of the ocean, now equipped with their own hypersonic boosters. It's a terrifying symmetry. Both sides are holding a knife to each other's throat, waiting for the other to blink. The tension escalates as a Chinese Type 055 destroyer, a ship that many analysts call the most powerful surface combatant in the world, locks its radar onto an American P-8 Poseidon. This is the spark that could light the Pacific on fire. The rules of engagement are being rewritten in real time as AI algorithms on both sides suggest preemptive strikes to ensure survival. It's no longer just about who has the bigger gun, it's about who has the faster processor. The digital ghost of the battlefield is now more lethal than the steel itself. We see a shift toward iterable warfare where the US plans to flood the zone with thousands of low-cost drones to confuse the Chinese kill web. It's a swarm versus swarm scenario that feels more like science fiction than modern reality, but the human element remains. Somewhere in the dark, a young sonar technician is listening for the faint cavitation of a propeller that shouldn't be there. One mistake, one nervous finger on a launch button, and the red line isn't just crossed, it's erased forever. The geopolitical stakes are staggering because if a carrier is even scratched, the American public's reaction would be unpredictable, potentially forcing a full-scale mobilization not seen since the 1940s. Meanwhile, Beijing views the South China Sea as its own backyard, a blue national soil that it is sworn to protect at any cost. This isn't just about rocks and reefs, it's about the control of the global supply chain. If the US Navy is pushed back beyond the second island chain, the world economy shifts its axis toward the east overnight. The ripples would be felt in every stock market and every shipyard from London to Tokyo. We are witnessing the birth of a new world order, forged in the heat of a hypersonic friction. The Americans are now testing the PRSM missiles on mobile launchers in the jungles of allied nations, creating a land-based carrier effect that is driving Chinese planners into a frenzy. It's a decentralized fortress. Every island becomes a potential launch site, turning the entire Pacific into a minefield of high-tech sensors and long-range fires. The fort is no longer alone, it is the center of a vast invisible network of death. And yet the question remains, can technology truly replace the sheer psychological impact of a supercarrier appearing on your horizon? A carrier is a diplomatic tool as much as a weapon, a 90,000 tons of sovereignty that speaks a language every nation understands. If that symbol is neutralized, the very concept of command of the seas is dead. We are at the edge of the abyss, looking down at a conflict where the first shot might be an invisible beam of light and the last shot might be the end of an empire. But the story doesn't end with missiles and satellites because the true red line is buried even deeper in the silicon. Every single one of these hypersonic gliders, every Aegis-R, and every AI-driven drone depends on high-end semiconductors that are currently produced in the heart of the most contested territory on Earth. We are talking about Taiwan. The silicon shield is beginning to crack. If Beijing decides that they cannot win the hypersonic race through raw engineering, they might decide to seize the means of production itself. This adds a layer of desperation to the Pacific crisis. The US Navy isn't just defending a line on a map. They are defending the lifeblood of modern civilization. Imagine a world where the production of the very chips that power your smartphone and the Ford's missile defense systems is suddenly under the control of a single power. The strategic panic in Washington is real. This is why we see the sudden rush to build chip fabs on American soil. But that's a process that takes decades, and the crisis is happening now. As the Ford maneuvers through the Luzon Strait, it is surrounded by a dark fleet of civilian fishing vessels, many of which are actually maritime militia ships equipped with advanced sensors and jamming equipment. This is gray zone warfare, a tactic designed to provoke a response without starting a war or to mask a sudden attack. It's a psychological grind. Sailors are on high alert for weeks, staring at screens, waiting for a blip that might be a fishing boat or might be the prelude to a saturation strike. The fatigue is a weapon in itself, and then there's the quantum threat. Both sides are racing to develop quantum computers that can crack the encryption of military communications in seconds. If China achieves quantum supremacy first, every American carrier becomes a sitting duck because their positions and orders will be transparent to the enemy. It's a race against time in laboratories as much as in the shipyards. Meanwhile, Russia is watching from the north, testing its own Zircon hypersonic missiles in the Arctic, creating a two-front nightmare for the US Navy. The blue water ops of the future aren't just about one ocean. They are about a global interconnected battlefield where a skirmish in the Barents Sea can trigger a launch in the South China Sea. We are looking at the integrated deterrence model, where the US is trying to link its allies, Japan, Australia, the UK, into a single unified fighting force. The AUKUS deal, the Quad meetings, these aren't just diplomatic gatherings. They are the building blocks of a global fortress. But can a coalition of democracies act as fast as a single centralized command in Beijing? The speed of hypersonic warfare doesn't leave room for committee meetings. The decisions will be made by AI commanders in milliseconds. We are entering an era where the OODA loop, observe, orient, decide, act, is being compressed to a point where human intuition is becoming a secondary factor. The dead hand systems of the Cold War are being reborn in the form of autonomous kill webs that can retaliate even if the central command is vaporized. The stakes for humanity have never been higher. As we look at the horizon, we see the B-21 Raider beginning its test flights, a stealth bomber designed specifically to penetrate the anti-access denial bubbles that China has built. It is the American response to the carrier killer threat, an invisible ghost that can strike at the heart of the missile batteries before they can even launch. It's a cycle of move and counter-move, a deadly dance where the music is the roar of jet engines and the silent pulse of microwave weapons. The Pacific Red Line is glowing, and as the USS Gerald R. Ford turns its bow toward the rising sun, the world holds its breath. This is the endgame of naval supremacy, a transition from the era of steel and oil to the era of light and logic. But while the world's eyes are fixed on the surface and the sky, the most terrifying front of this conflict is unfolding in total darkness, hundreds of meters beneath the waves. This is the silent war for the seabed, a realm where there are no red lines, only predators and prey. China has been rapidly deploying its underwater Great Wall, a massive network of acoustic sensors, deep-sea gliders, and unmanned underwater vehicles, UUVs, designed to strip away the one advantage the U.S. Navy still holds: submarine invisibility. If the American Virginia-class and Ohio-class submarines lose their ability to hide, the entire U.S. nuclear deterrent is compromised. We are talking about the third offset strategy, where the ocean floor becomes a battlefield of its own. Imagine autonomous mines that can wait in a dormant state for years, only to activate and track the acoustic signature of a passing carrier's escort. It's a permanent, invisible presence. The U.S. responded by developing the Snakehead LDUV, a large-diameter drone submarine that can stay submerged for months, mapping the Chinese coast and deploying its own sensors. This is a game of undersea chess played at a snail's pace, but with catastrophic consequences. Every cable that carries the internet across the Pacific is a target. If those cables are severed, the global financial system collapses in hours. It's not just about sinking ships. It's about disconnecting civilizations. And as we look at the Polar Silk Road, we see China and Russia cooperating to dominate the melting Arctic, creating a new high north front that forces the U.S. to stretch its already overextended fleet even thinner. The logistics of such a conflict are mind-boggling. How do you fuel 1,000 drones and dozens of massive ships in a contested environment where every tanker is a target? This is where the concept of contested logistics comes in. The U.S. is experimenting with nuclear-powered supply ships and 3D printing spare parts in the middle of the ocean. They are trying to build a self-sustaining war machine that doesn't need to go back to port. But Beijing has the home court advantage. Their supply lines are short, their industrial capacity is the largest on the planet, and their civil-military fusion means every commercial shipyard can be turned into a naval powerhouse in days. The sheer math of production is starting to lean in China's favor. For every American destroyer built, China is launching 3. The quantity versus quality debate is being settled in real time. If you have enough dumb missiles, you can eventually overwhelm the most intelligent defense system. It's a war of attrition in the age of the algorithm. We are seeing the rise of cognitive electronic warfare, where AI systems learn the enemy's radar patterns on the fly and invent new ways to jam them in milliseconds. It's a digital evolution happening at the speed of thought. As the USS Gerald R. Ford reaches the edge of the Philippine Sea, it isn't just a ship anymore. It's a node in a global sentient network of war. The sailors on board are no longer just operating machinery. They are the guardians of a digital flame that must not be extinguished. The Pacific Red Line is no longer a static boundary. It's a living, breathing tension that fluctuates with every pulse of a radar and every rotation of a propeller. This is the precipice of a new human epoch. The tools we created to connect the world, AI, high-speed data, and advanced physics, are being turned into the ultimate instruments of its destruction. The question isn't if the line will be crossed, but what will be left of the global order when the smoke clears from the first hypersonic impact. The silence of the Pacific is a lie. It is a scream waiting to happen. The ultimate truth of the Pacific Red Line isn't found in the speed of a missile or the displacement of a hull. It's found in the chilling realization that we have built a world where peace depends on the perfection of a machine. As the USS Gerald R. Ford fades into the mist of the horizon, it carries with it the weight of an entire century's worth of military doctrine, a doctrine that is currently being tested by fire and silicon. We are moving toward a future where the winner might not be the one with the most carriers, but the one whose AI can endure the longest in the digital shadows. This isn't just a rivalry between two nations. It is the final evolution of human conflict, where the battlefield has expanded from the deep trenches of the ocean to the silent orbits of space. The Pacific remains vast and indifferent, but beneath its surface, the gears of a global machine are grinding toward a conclusion that no one can fully predict. Is the era of the supercarrier over, or are we just witnessing the birth of a new, more lethal kind of Titan? One thing is certain, the red line has been drawn, and the world will never be the same. The sensors are active, the missiles are fueled, and the AI is waiting for the signal. The question is no longer when the conflict will begin, but whether humanity can survive the weapons it has perfected. As we close this chapter of Blue Water Ops, remember that in the high-stakes game of global supremacy, there are no second places, only those who adapt and those who become footnotes in history. The storm is coming, and the Pacific is the stage. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and keep your eyes on the horizon. This is the end of the beginning.